You have been arrested, but did you actually commit a crime? And the answer to that is probably not. Now, what I've noticed the police usually do is arrest people for not answering their questions. And that will be under Section 24 of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, Section 50, as in 50, of the Police Reform Act 2002, Section 43 of the Terrorism Act 2000, or Section 165 of the Road Traffic Act 1988. I remember watching a video around COVID time. There's a woman in London sat on a park bench. The police, who were not following COVID rules, funny enough, asking the woman why she was out and about. Then they asked her what her name is. She refused to tell them. Then he says, "I'm arresting you under Section 24 of the Police and Criminal Evidence Act." Then he read her the police caution. And the first 7 words of police caution is, "You do not have to say anything." Okay? That's separate from this act. I'll get onto this in a minute. Well, actually, I'll get onto it now. And Section 34 to Section 39 of the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act 1994, basically the police and the prosecution service cannot be bothered to do an investigation and prove you actually did anything wrong. So if you refuse to answer their questions, apparently you've committed a crime even though you haven't. And at trial, if it goes to trial, the judge will break the law to instruct the jury to break the law to find you guilty for committing no crime and send you to prison. Well, I've got you some law chambers. I don't remember which one, but I was looking up Rice versus Connolly 1966. You have the right to silence, and you do not have to be a witness against yourself. So I should have separated. There's 2 case laws here. And I've got a book. It's a good book. I'm going to show you some of it for educational purposes only. Police Misconduct Legal Remedies. When I appealed my unlawful convictions from Nottingham Magistrates Court and got to Nottingham Crown Court, the guy on security just go for my back, goes, it's a good book, mate. You got a few bookmarks. I was like, yeah, a few bookmarks, mate. Every other page has got a bookmark on it. And this also covers Rice versus Connolly 1966. And the whole basis of the common law is the right of individuals to refuse to answer questions put to him in persons in authority, and a refusal to accompany those in authority to any particular place short of cause of arrest. It also says you're not obliged to assist with any police investigations. So if you are a witness rather than an imaginary suspect, if you are a witness to an actual crime, it's only on your morals whether you assist the police, but you're not obliged to answer any questions, and you're not obliged to assist in their investigations. I'll quickly show you one more thing. Another thing the police commonly misuse and abuse is reasonable grounds to suspect. So this would be a case law from 1970, and all these years later they're still abusing their reasonable grounds to suspect. And as the case law says, okay, so we're looking at Case law Hussein versus John Cam, Lord Devlin said, suspicion in its ordinary meaning is a state of conjecture or surmise where proof is lacking. I suspect but cannot prove. Suspicion arises at or near the starting point of an investigation, of which the obtaining of prima facie proof is the end. So prima facie is forensic evidence. The police will stop you for whatever, say I thought or I suspect. Section 24 Police and Criminal Evidence Act 1984, and that's got to complement that case law, and the clue is in the name of case. The police need evidence that you've committed a crime. So everything comes out of their stupid mouths, every statement they make, it's got to be backed up by forensic evidence. Another thing you probably get prosecuted for when you haven't actually done anything wrong is this unlawful piece of junk. Prevention of crime. What gets me is what most people haven't thought, I don't think anyone has. If anyone's got a weapon in a public place, shall be guilty of an offence. And I was thinking, wait a minute, what's the jury for then? Surely it's up to the jury to decide that. So you've got Prevention of Crime Act 1953. And its stupidity came along with the 1959 one. I'll show you why this is unlawful in a second. I didn't say illegal, I said unlawful. And then you've got this one, in possession of a bladed article in a public place. And again, shall be guilty of an offence. So plead not guilty, go to trial. Pretty sure the jury can say not guilty. I'll show you why you've done nothing wrong. So you probably won't be able to read it. It's got 4 books. I've photocopied this and I was going to use this in court a few years ago. So you've got commentaries on the laws of England, not acts of Parliament, laws. Book 1, of the rights of the persons. And it does say, the 5th final auxiliary is the subject shall have at present mentioned having arms for their defence. Well, with a baton, 1953 Act, or the 88 Act for a bladed article, you're armed with it. And you have a firearm, well, it's called a firearm because it's an arm that you fire. So the law here says you are allowed it. Don't know if you'll be able to pause the screen and read it all, because I don't want this video to be too long. Laws do not come from Parliament. Acts of Parliament do. It says it here. Even though they do say make new laws, well, that's false. Oxford Dictionary of Law. So then you're going to have to pause the video and read it. So law is from the court, an act of Parliament, obviously through Parliament. And it pretty much says the same thing in my other book, Turpin and Tompkins, British Government and the Constitution, Text, Cases and Materials, 8th edition. Let's see if you can see a problem with this one, because it will show you that Acts of Parliament do not exist. Do you see a problem where it says signification of royal assent? An Act of Parliament duly elected if Her Majesty's assent thereto being signified by letters baton under the Great Seal sign with him about his own hand. Yeah, it's not there, is it, mate? The reason why is because when the Queen or now King goes for their coronation, they swear a coronation oath to uphold the customs, traditions and laws of his realm. Nothing to do with an act then, does it? So if they sign an Act of Parliament, they abdicate the throne. So when you get all these legislations that do not exist, Prevention of Crime Act 1953 to 59 one, you got the Criminal Justice Act 1988, and the law says you're allowed to be armed and this is a public allowance. These are against the law, they're breaking the law, and the police will come along and say you're under arrest, just like answering police questions we went through earlier. You're under arrest because my script said so. It says here, shall be guilty of offence, so you need to be arrested because I'm just following what my script says. And what you'll find is when they prosecute you, they will tell you there needs to be a victim or a risk to there being a victim for a crime to happen. Yes, a risk to there being a victim. So drink driving, drug driving, anything like that. And they'll just say the Crown is the victim, so they make up a victim. So they did this with me in 2022. They actually came round and arrested me for being in possession of a knife. That did happen. So you might want to forget about this video and go and throw all your knives away before you get arrested. All those kitchen knives thrown away. I was arrested for being in possession of a telescopic baton by PC 512 Michael Cook and 58 Lanes, who were also in possession of a telescopic baton. So they said the Crown is the victim. I thought, well, I've never met the Queen. Then they said the state is the victim. I thought, well, I've never met a person called the state. So I asked them, I says, well, have the police got a witness statement from a victim called the Crown? Because I don't think they went down to London. Actually, they did forget to go down to London and get a statement from the Queen. And forensics also forgot to go down to London and get forensics of me against someone called the State. So here's my other book, Turpin and Tompkins, British Government and the Constitution, Text Cases and Materials, 8th edition. So Law of the Constitution, pause it and read it. The police are in possession of weapons, so if you get arrested, they need to be arrested as well. Equality before law, mate. Sorry. Actually, that wasn't the equality before law. It is, but it isn't, but it does say they cannot have exemption. Any exemption of officials. Now we'll get on to the Drugs Act. Again, Act doesn't exist. And it will say the police are exempt. But the law of the Constitution says excludes any idea of any exemption of officials. Okay. And there's equality before law. Every official from the Prime Minister to a constable to collective taxes is under the same responsibility for every act done without the legal justification as any other citizen. So please carry weapons. You can carry weapons. If you get arrested or shot dead for having weapons, that means they need the same treatment. Am I right or am I right? So when I was talking about drugs, misuse drugs acts, I was actually talking to someone on this course I'm on, and he said he used to be on drugs. He says, I don't know, he was self-medicating. As you can see, I ran out of bookmarks on using receipts and random things. And he says, I was self-medicating, they should just legalise everything and sell it in shops. I said, oh yeah, or the pharmacy. I said, it's a quality control and treatment issue. So quality control is just regulate it and sell it. And treat people with addictions, a bit like with alcohol really. I was talking to someone a few days before about the same thing. You get functioning alcoholics, you get functioning heroin addicts. And I said, we get these people on the streets, they're homeless because they've got an addiction problem and they need treatment. And they've more likely been abused as children, that's why they're on the drugs. Another thing the police misuse and abuse is Section 5 of the Public Order Act 1986. Something to do with hurty words might cause an offence. Well, Section 5 is not an arrestable offence, it's a summons. Here's my latest attempt to get me into court. So basically you write your letter and say you need to go to court on this date at this time. So the police will arrest you for it, but if you're being arrested, you're not being summoned. This is a summons. So if you've been arrested, it's an unlawful arrest for a summons. A bit like, I think it's Section 69 of the Police Act 1996. So if they unlawfully arrest you, you have a right to defend yourself. Shown this in a few previous videos, I'm showing it again. Case laws, we're going to focus on Ali versus Department of Public Prosecutions. I'm past it. When they arrest you for not actually committing a crime, but it's supposed to summons you, the arrest by PC Kenny was unlawful and it was not in the execution of his duty. Mr. Ali was entitled to defend himself against PC Kenny's attempts to arrest him. Okay. So they'll get their script, arrest you for not answering their questions, or they'll arrest you for a summons, and if you resist, they will escalate by using weapons against you, which is fantastic because then you'll be able to sue them. It doesn't look like I've got it here, but you need to look for Thompson versus the Commissioner of the Police of the Metropolis 1997. Mr. Sue, I'm guessing it's pronounced Sue, HSU, and others. In the case of Mr. Sue, who was the police sustained assault against him, but kept on hitting him, and was awarded £200,000 exemplary damages plus £20,000 compensation. So if the police use weapons against you, the exemplary damages just goes up and up and up. And their excuse will be, I thought, I suspect. And we went through that earlier, didn't we? They just say stupid things, what their indoctrination says, I suspect, but I cannot prove. So when you've done nothing wrong, you're probably going to get arrested for it, especially not answering police questions. And the police and the government and everyone else are wondering why there's a backlog of 80,000 cases in the courts and why the prisons are overflowing. And when they say to you the Crown is the victim or the state is the victim, you might want to say, okay then, so I need to summons the King to witness what's the postal address of the victim called the Crown, so I can summons them to cross-examine them. Also need statement from the Grenadier Guards, the Coldstream Guards, the Scots Guards, the Irish Guards, the Welsh Guards, I can't remember if I mentioned Irish Guards, the Life Guards and the rest of the Household Cavalry, and the police who look after the Royal Family called Royal and Diplomatic Protection. I'm also going to need a statement from them. So it's all about thinking for yourself. The police are not there, they're not on your side, they're not impartial like it's supposed to be. They are there to prosecute you regardless. Your defence team is not on your side. The prosecution service obviously there to prosecute you for committing no crime, and the judge is not on your side. So it's up to you to think for yourself, ask questions, do your own research. I make these videos trying to help you. You might really want to pay attention, because one day you're going to get a pre-programmed robot known as the police come and stop you, and they're going to arrest you because you did not follow the script. You haven't committed a crime, you just did not follow the script. Please do your own research and think for yourselves.